Salut les amis, en ce jour de sortie, nous sommes un vendredi, Friday 7th. J'ai le grand plaisir d'être au studio de mon cher ami Moritz Bintig, qui est l'ingénieur du son, qui est derrière toutes mes productions musicales depuis plus d'1 an et demi. Tous les 40 titres solo, c'est lui. Tous les titres du trio, c'est lui. Hi Moritz.
Hello, Armel.
I'm very
I didn't
happy.
get anything from what you said, but I hope it was only kind words.
Yeah,
right?
it was definitely. I just said that you are the man behind all my music productions for more than a year.
Yeah.
All the 40 solo tracks, it's you. The trio tracks from the Armel Dupas, Sentimental Mood and Moulin Rotary trios, it's you. So it's the first time we actually meet in the real life. We've been always having some video chatting and a lot of texting.
Yeah.
And this studio is just wonderful. Congrats. And I understand how the sound of our trio also can be so good because you work in very good conditions.
Yeah, maybe that's. I think it's a very important thing that you need to have to make
Yes.
good sounding records.
That's
you
true.
need good equipment. Although a lot changed during the last 10, 20 years. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but great to see you for the first time and have you here in my studio. Great pleasure, by the way, and amazing to work for that long time with the same artist, which is really a thing that I'm not doing that often.
Really?
I'm always working with the same again. It's like also in like you have like a high output, so you have like a lot of music you're doing.
That's true.
Some other artists come back like every 3 years or something.
okay.
You know, then you work again, but then you need to readjust yourself to the artist again. So with you it's like you're calling and hey, let's go on.
Let's go on.
There's a new track.
Yes. So people would like to know you because I have shared your name and your sound, of course, with so many people. So who are you? How did you get in this music production stuff? Yes. So tell us a bit about you.
I started early, like a lot of people in this industry. 20 years ago, I mean, I worked before as a musician myself, so I played guitar in bands and stuff like that. And then there was a wish to record the own stuff. So everything that I was composing with the band, we wanted to have it on tape somehow.
Sure.
So we tried to make that happen. And there was one guy who get a little bit more into it. That was me of the band, and the rest was more into playing. And so I knew how to record and start learning that. But like a lot of people in that time, there was not really the opportunity to study it in a way.
Really?
So maybe if you want to be like a classical, as we say, audio engineer for recording orchestral stuff, that was always possible, but that wasn't the thing I was interested in. I wanted to record bands and wanted to do that. Yeah, so and then learning by doing, as we say, then I got a little bit into this business and had a great guitar teacher in that time who also teach me a lot of things in composing. And so I start not only producing but also composing my own music, and I got into a special business which we call music library business, where I'm producing instrumental music, also without singing, in every genre.
Like folk, rock, pop,
can be rock,
electro.
Exactly. Not so much electronic music because this is really not my style.
Okay.
But I work with different artists then, so that we are doing collaborations, and then we work together on big orchestra tunes or trailer music, and a lot of things. I focus more and more on the mixing part and the technical part because it's something that I really do like. But whenever I have the opportunity to play my own stuff, or doing a rock album or something.
So
take
here,
my guitar.
here you can record drums because there is a room. You can record vocal, of course, contrabass, piano.
Contrabass,
There is a
piano,
wonderful
everything,
Yamaha C3, like everything. Did you even record like string quartet?
Exactly. We had some recordings with the Szymanowski string quartet here with a great artist I know, Marina Baranova.
Ah oui, pianist.
Pianist, and also her her husband Damien Marulitz, both artists at Neue Meister in Berlin, which is a big neoclassic label.
Okay.
So we had some recordings with them. That was a great pleasure to have them here. I mean, the room is not that big, but the string quartet fits in, and it's a very you have a very intimate sound then, and which fits very good for this neoclassical sounding stuff. So yeah, we recorded string quartets.
Yes, and so I came to you thanks to, and it's a good opportunity to say hello to Marie Awadis, who is a very talented pianist who lives in Braunschweig. Is it?
I think so. Yeah,
near Berlin. Yeah,
it's
near
also
Berlin. Or?
It's closer to Hanover.
Really?
Yeah. So it's a little bit in between, but closer to Hanover.
Oh, okay, I didn't know. Because I really liked the sound of this wonderful Una Corda diaries with a lot of very beautiful reverb that you put on the sound. And so when I was planning recording my solo collection,
the piano solo collection, which is really a collection.
40 tracks, I thought, who is doing things now? And I texted Marie, and she said, I'm working with Moritz. And we had our first bonjour, I'm Armel.
Exactly like that.
And then we had a conversation because it was a lot of work, a lot of tunes, more or less in the same style, same kind of dynamics.
Yeah. Because you also recorded at the same place, with the same microphone setup, that makes it a little bit easier for me to mix it then. Sure.
And then you proposed me to work with Lennart for the mastering.
Because it's a friend of mine who once had a room here, because
really?
This is a studio complex, so more studios than one in the whole building. And when he was living in Hanover, he then moved away. He had a studio here and did the masterings, and so he was a close friend. So I still work with him on a lot of projects.
Yes, and it's a very nice combination for me, for us to have trust, because sometimes you mix with someone and you give the master to someone else, and they are not really much having the same opinion on the sound.
Exactly, or sure, it can also be different taste, just because everything is also taste. Some like more bass, some like less, or whatever. But we have a great we found a great way to work with each other, because sometimes already in the mixing process I can send him something and say, is that working in specific things, like especially bass things are always important for mixing and mastering. And if you have the feeling there's too much bass or something, I could already take it out in the mix, because then he can get an even better result in the mastering, because if he would need to solve it there because there's something like not really working, then you work against each other instead of just doing it right in the beginning. So in this case, in this project, with it's even more important if you have like bigger projects with a few hundred tracks in it, where you have big orchestral tunes. So they need to clean up a little bit more the songs and the mixes. If you have a jazz trio,
because here there are like 15 tracks, 10 tracks. 10 tracks at the beginning.
14,
so
15.
If it's 10 tracks only, it's easier.
It's easier because and there's especially in this kind of music, it's really the communication between the both of us, and you get the first mix, and then it's like, oh my, the piano solo in 1 minute 30, can you push it a little bit, or it's more these details which are more important, because and here I just need to say that, because the stuff that you are delivering, the quality of the tracks is so good that really everything is possible to do. It's just such a good quality in the files. What I normally not get from people who work
from
home recordings.
Home recording, yes.
And that means, especially with jazz, when you play together, you need somehow, it needs to sound good with all these musicians together, and then having also good microphones, because it's then really with acoustic music a lot about the good microphones and good preamps. and that the room sounds somehow, especially on jazz music.
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
have a good sounding room, and there, this room that you're recording in sounds very natural, very good.
Yeah.
Has
Big
no
problem.
bad
Yeah.
reflections or
Yes.
something. So I don't need to repair anything. It's just about finding a good sound with the stuff, a good balance. You know.
And before me and before us, the trio, did you work on some jazz projects? And how did you how jazz and you met before in your life?
Jazz and me met more in listening because I'm listening to so much popular music in let's say popular music, but all the stuff that I'm producing here on my own or with other artists is more in the popular genre, whether it's a rock stuff or it's also like things for the industry. And and jazz is it's an industry itself, but in a different way. And so I'm listening a lot to jazz music just for myself and not so much producing. So there I'm more into neoclassic, which is for me a similar style because it's also very artificial, has similar instrumentations because it's all acoustic. You always have acoustic, maybe prepared piano, but still a real piano. So I do a lot of recordings in this genre. But so much mixing in jazz really came up with your trios.
Cool.
And I loved it because it's something I always wanted to do, but it's just like if you're working and getting paid for something, is the thing you go for the jobs where the money is. And to be honest, there's not so much, or there's less money in the jazz business. And especially for my publishers, for example, because they're almost doing no jazz albums because it's not gonna be used so much in TV. We're working for TV, so they don't need so many jazz. They have some jazz albums for sure because it's gonna be used somehow, but not very often. So they don't need so much, and you can use more or less always the same. Then
some yes, that's on what we jumped to, because when I discovered it was late 19 that on Spotify biggest playlists, it was absolutely not the biggest names of jazz that were featured, but some very good trio sound. I thought, shit, I could do that myself. And so it took me some years, and of course there was COVID and so on, but it took me some years to gather with Jules and Christophe, and then to tell them, okay, we will not play live so much. First, we will jump on this idea of recording, and it was so cool because they were absolutely 100% in it from the very first recording session, and we were very lucky because the first singles got featured.
Amazing
on the big playlist. On the big playlist, and thanks to that, now we can have some money out of it and
can create more music.
And create more music. That's why we started the Sentimental Mood Trio for the jazz ballads and jazz standards, and the Moulin Rôti Trio for the covers. So in terms of technical, because I know some friends like Patrick, we will be very much into how he's doing. So when you receive our 10 tracks, so there are 2 tracks for the piano, it's just a stereo mic. There are 3 tracks for the bass, like low, high, and the Pro Deep, which is like a DI signal. There are so this is 5 already, and the last 5 are drums. So
kick, snare. And then sometimes he delivers an overhead or right in a hi-hat mic.
Yes, that's it.
And a sub kick.
And a sub kick, yes, that's Christophe's little recipe.
It's good to have, it's like if you want to create a warm, round, bassy kick sound. I mean, he's not playing the kicks that often, but when it's there, it has like a very low end, and it's fitting nice, the low end, with the contrabass.
So you use all of them?
I use all of them, exactly.
Because we were wondering sometimes if it was necessary to send the 3 bass tracks.
There's the thing, if you have the tracks, you play around with it. So at least me, I have.
That's what you do when it starts.
Exactly. First I put all the tracks in it. Sometimes I'm going through the files if I see anything, whether everything is strange, and sometimes checking phases. And,
yes.
Especially important if everyone is playing in the same room. Then it can have phase problems between. That's something else. The phase is really.
It's a cancellation of the sound.
Exactly. So if in one mic the bass wave is going up and in the other it's going down, and the phase is, then it deletes itself, and then it can be that the bass sounding is thinner than it normally is. So these things are really a technical process in the beginning. We call it cleaning the tracks a little bit. And then it's like listening to the track, or sometimes I got a rough mix or listen to that. So what is the vision of the artist? Maybe in our case, we don't have that anymore. It's just I receive the tracks and know what to do.
Even sometimes give you some references.
Exactly.
Some new, for example, I discovered a new trio, or I listened to some I've forgotten, and I sent Moritz the file.
And also it was very interesting when you analyze the tracks which were already in playlist, and you said, okay, for us it's important that we have a steady, noisy snare drum brush sound in the very beginning of the song, because you notice that this has happened in the playlist often, because then the algorithm has a whatever he does, the algorithm, maybe he likes it or not. So we kept that in mind when mixing. So we said, okay.
Notice that we say that an algorithm liked the brushes sound.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Then it's like I have a fader controller here. You can see a little bit here,
sure.
Right? Really moving up and down the faders, checking a little bit, doing a little balancing, and then it's like having 3 faders on the bass. Is I move all these 3 and looking for a sound that is good, and it can be that I only use one mic of it, but most of the times it's like 80% of this, 20 of them, and, or
Okay, and you do it each time. You don't use the preset.
Exactly, and this is then the thing, because it is strange, but every song is a little different. Although it can be exactly
tempo.
this, and especially the key in which you're playing is changing the bass, and
sure.
so where's the low end, and how deep is a song sounding? If you play in D minor, it's completely different than
F minor.
So I use then the bass setup, which sounds good for the tune. And
so you start with that.
But not. I wouldn't listen solo bass.
No, but
I would check. Okay, what is the piano is doing something, and I put the bass to it that it fits around the piano. The piano is for me then the mid and high spectrum. The very high stuff is coming from the right, and the cymbals and the snare brushes. And then you just find a good balance that every song works. And also, which is different every time, is the reverb that I'm using. I'm having the luck to use an analog Bricasti setup. I have 2 Bricastis, and I find one room sound, which is so to generate a homogeneous picture of all of you 3 sitting in the same room. So everyone gets a little bit of room information, and do I use a smaller or a bigger one is then also decided by the tempo of the track. And then sometimes I have a little longer reverb for the piano to make it just sound a little bit nicer, bigger, or something.
So first levels, sound, then reverb.
Exactly, and then there's like maybe in between also a little bit cleaning up frequencies, which is then the EQing part. This is like especially happening on bass and piano, because the bass is always like a little bit tricky, especially contrabass. Also compression, I do compress the contrabass.
And there is this thing of attack that we discussed a lot, because in the attack of the double bass, do you choose to have the of the real, like it's not the nail of course, but it's the finger, or do we cut it to have it more and it's very interesting because we have been adjusting each tune,
each time because this is also like maybe in a track where the groove is more important than the melody, you would go for a little bit more attack. It's also a subjective decision. What do you prefer in that tune? So sometimes this is something I don't know exactly what the artist wants, so that's why we sometimes have like one or two revisions. And sometimes it's something, as a mixing engineer, first you're listening to the balance and the stuff and the technical EQing stuff, and then you create that, and then you come up with a attack on the contrabass. And to be honest, in that process that I've been before, I not even recognize that so much. And then if you say something, let's change it. And this is also sometimes depends on how the bass player played. Sometimes you're using more of that, sometimes less. And if you're using more and it sounds more aggressive, let's say, then you would maybe automatically take a little bit down of the EQ in that frequency to make it more round. So I tend to mix it more round maybe than being too aggressive. But it depends also a little bit on the style that you deliver.
It's true, because I have noticed that on the jazz records I like, that most of them are from either very contemporary recent times or 1960s in the Capitol A studio with these gears that they have that they had at that time. There is not so much low frequency in the jazz. It is cut. I think it's maybe it was a technical thing. I mean, they are still using the same equipment more or less, but it changed a little bit the way how we like to listen to music. It's just in every genre more and more bass getting to it. Yes.
Yeah, it's
except
like
jazz.
everywhere except jazz. Come on, I think. I mean, the contrabass is going very down, and with a sub kick you can also do things.
But
I like bass, so I love to use it. But it is more compact if you take down, have not everything there, and maybe it works even better also in the car or something. I mean, most people don't listen jazz in the car, but the more control you have in the bass, the better it works on every speaker in the world. So.
That's true. Yeah, because that's your job to make it work. And also Leonard's job, because he's the master. But it's the point of all. It can be on super beautiful speakers, as these ones are focal ones, or some Bose which is not shit, by the way, but or some.
But the small things.
Any brands.
Exactly, we don't brands, only the good ones.
But and even also on headphones,
especially jazz.
I always listen to our product on headphones, the typical AirPod stuff, because
everyone is listening.
That's the thing.
It has to work on AirPod. I know people who are mixing already on headphones. Especially pop music and stuff like that.
You
because
have to make it super.
They know that the young people will gonna listen on headphones.
Or on the telephone itself.
Exactly. So why not creating the mix there where it's going to be used in the end?
So it would be absolutely pointless to listen to it on the super good speakers, or
I mean, I have another. I think a little bit different about that. I think it's good to have real speakers, especially in a studio, but you need to have a good room. But things like reverb and stuff like that can be set on a speaker, and the feeling is different because it makes something in your body if you're listening to real speakers.
That's true.
Than just on the headphone. But sure, I have my headphones here as well, and before a mix is leaving my studio, I check on headphones. True.
Yes, so great. Thank you for this little behind the scene explanation, because we, of course, know those things, but our audience, either my solo audience or the trio ones, they don't really know who is behind this work. And it's really nice for us, once again, to have a collaboration with you, because I have worked with many talented guys before, sound engineers, but most of the time it was a bit confronting the ideas. I think that this, but yes, but no, and sometimes I made mistakes, like enormous mistakes. For example, sitting in the couch while mixing, and you feel that the bass is enormous. Let's switch it off, and then suddenly you listen to this in your car, and
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
You have to sit in the pole position.
Yeah, but with Moritz and Lennart, of course, it's super great because after all this job we've done, we know exactly for now, because we reproduce this pattern a lot with this
maybe
jazz.
It will change. You bought something new that is in
Yes,
your car.
That's true. This little keyboard. Maybe there will be some vocal too soon, because no spoiling alert, but maybe some vocal. So yes, it's very nice to reproduce.
It's a progress, but that is definitely a thing. We found a working collaboration at the moment where can work so precise and so fast and making just such a good result in a shorter time, which makes
V1, V2 to correct this, and
exactly.
then it's okay.
And
Sometimes
then we're going to the mastering.
A V2A.
Exactly. Not to have a V3.
No, what a shame. Okay, Moritz, thanks again, and I would be very happy to share this on my YouTube channel with my friends. Okay, bye guys.
Bye bye.
À bientôt.